All right, so we did lose internet for a little bit, and now we're going to wrap this all up. That's going to be on there for posterity's sake. All right. The one thing I was going to say before we got cut off is, as you're searching for your conclusion, the main thing you can be looking at is use this question at the very bottom for your language. So we ended up with a 0.038 p-value, and our significance level was 0.05. I'm not going to recreate everything else. Because our p-value was less than our significance level, we reject the null hypothesis. There is convincing evidence that what? That the average calories per receipt at Starbucks with a labeled menu is less than at a Starbucks without labeled menus. And there we go. We don't have to use our precious time and our precious brain cells trying to come up with how to phrase that. Though it is good to try and wrap your head around exactly what it means. You don't have to spend too long with it. Okay, so just to show, this is again from the Unit 10 posters, or whatever, reference posters, I think that's what they're called. So if you like having this laid out this particular way, that's good. Of course, you need to make sure you're familiar and comfortable with finding it on the AP formula sheet, especially if you are one of those taking the AP test. I'm not going to run, okay. Actually, I already verbalized the conclusion. So just to say it again, I'm not going to write it out. Is that even an English word at that point? It looks like BAs, but anyways. Because the p-value, I already said this, because the p-value is less than our significance level, we reject the null hypothesis. There is convincing evidence that, and I won't read the rest of it. That would be our conclusion. All right. And that's really it. I mean, I hope what you're finding is that this is kind of the same process playing out over and over again. We just change things and tweak things slightly differently depending on what we're given. And so one of the things, and this is something we were talking about in the classroom that wasn't on Zoom, one of the things that I want to give you guys is some good practice. So you just look at some scenarios and you can determine, is this going to be a 2-sample t-test? Is this going to be a 1-sample t-test? 1-sample z, 2-sample z-test? Or is it going to be a confidence interval? And then that could be 1 or 2 sample of means or proportions. So you have 8 different tests. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to skip past all of these. Not to say it's not worth going over some more, but right here, this is what we've got. And you can see I wrote the generic formula for them, each one of them. So you can see what is going on. We have 1 proportion, 2 proportion, 1 mean, 2 means. This is like the coolest Dr. Seuss book ever, if you want to write this. All right, confidence interval, significance test. So we've learned 8 tests. We're going to learn a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more inference tests. But that might sound like, oh my gosh, you're just over halfway. But we've really learned the big ones. The other ones, you will not be tested on very prominently, if that's the right word. These are the ones that are going to show up over and over again. So if you're mastered these, you've mastered enough to get the 3 at least on the test. The other ones that we learn won't show up as often, with some exceptions. All right. Every confidence interval starts off with the same generic formula, and every significance test starts off with the same formula as well. And there we go, just plug in the correct specifics and you're good to go. And yeah, you can see right there, I put the inside back cover of your textbook has a useful guide for figuring this out. And yeah, I guess if you're using the textbook, Q is the same as 1 minus P. All right. So actually I will do this another day because the people in the class have already decided they're not going to sign back in. So how about tomorrow just to start off, we're going to go through some examples, and I want you to identify, circle, which one is the correct inference test to use based on the scenario given. All right, and with that, if I jump, oh, went too far, right here, you should be able to do all the homework at this point. So we'll start off tomorrow kind of running through the which one to pick, look at another little nuance dealing with means, and then we can just get some more practice between here and Thursday with making sure we understand the ins and outs of all this stuff. So I encourage you to look at your homework. If you have any questions, you can stick around today. If you have any questions that come up this evening, stick around tomorrow. We can work through that stuff. Okay, I've said enough. We're actually out fairly early. So have a wonderful day, and I will see you all tomorrow.